I'm Jesse Abelman, Curator of Hebraic and Judaic at Museum of the Bible. Normally, I'd be hard at work at the museum with my friends and co-workers, but as you can see, I'm here all by myself. I guess I'm the Lonesome Curator. Today I'd like to introduce you to one of the less appreciated books in our collection, I believe. It's the Soncino Mishnah, printed in 1492 by Joshua Solomon ben Israel Nathan Soncino. The Mishnah is a rabbinic compilation of law and thought that was compiled around or redacted around the year 200. Part of the reason this book is so significant is because it's an incunable. Incunable is a book that was printed before 1501. The word comes from the Latin term incunabulum, which means swaddling cloths or cradle. And these books, printed before 1501, are called that because they're from the baby days of printing, from the very earliest years of the printing press. This is the only Hebrew incunable in the MOTB collection. The only book from that period of time that printed in Hebrew that we have. But I'm telling you about this book not so much because of the object itself, but because of the people who printed it and their story. So who were the Soncinos? The Soncino printing house was one of the first major Jewish printing houses in a time when many Jews were not allowed to print at all. They printed the first Hebrew Bible in 1488, and their typesetter even foreshadowed the printing of that Bible in an earlier work, where they had quoted Isaiah 2:3, which reads, "For Torah will come out of Zion, and the word of God from Jerusalem." They replaced Jerusalem with Soncino in the verse. So it said, and the word of God from Soncino, to imply the forthcoming Soncino Bible, that the word of God would be printed by the Soncino family, and that was the first printed Hebrew Bible in existence. They also printed the first editions of the Babylonian Talmud, though they never printed the entire thing, but individual volumes of tractates. The Soncino family produced their books in many distinct cities, as circumstances for Jews changed and transformed across Europe. They began printing in Soncino in northern Italy, then moved to Naples, and later printed in Pizarro, Thessaloniki, and Constantinople. They had to move their press for a few reasons. Number one, in some cases, for example Naples, Jews were expelled from the city altogether, and so they could no longer continue living and working there. In other cases, Jews were not allowed to print, or had severe restrictions on their printing licenses. The power of printing to spread ideas was well known, and governments imposed restrictions on who could print what in order to prevent what they believed to be heretical ideas, either from Christians with whom they disagreed, or from believers in other religions, to be printed and spread. 3 generations of Soncino printers worked continuously across southern Europe and Asia Minor throughout the late 15th and early 16th centuries, printing Hebrew books, creating some of the most important early works of Hebrew printing. Which brings us back to our copy of the Mishnah. Printed in the same year that the Jews were expelled from Spain, 1492, it represents both the Jewish history of dislocation and exile, as well as powerfully shows their dedication to preserving heritage in the face of persecution and dislocation.